The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
You could be driving.
Happy Honda Days are back for the most wonderful time of the year at Team Honda. The savings are high on every new Honda. And with our Buy Here, Sell Here program, you'll get top value for your trade. Happy Honda Days from Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
As we start today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, here's hoping all is well with you and yours in your world. Since the last time we had the opportunity to spend a little time with you some 24 hours ago. Aside from the weather, big changes brewing because of COVID-19 here in Louisiana. As you well know, when this entire pandemic started, there was a huge amount of concern over individuals that were incarcerated and how they would be affected. We had advanced to a point where those incarcerated in the Department of Corrections were able to receive visitors in person visitation. But the state-run Department of Corrections announcing yesterday that they are now suspending visitation to all state-run prisons as a result of the rise of COVID and particularly Omicron cases here in Louisiana. They have rescinded the prison visitations indefinitely. That's 8 prisons around the state total. The Department of Corrections pointing out that they will still allow 2 phone calls per week for visitation purposes, including the option to purchase video conferencing, for lack of a better phrase. It is a step back in that regard, and you kind of saw this one coming if you've been paying attention to how all of these events have unfolded. So it should also not be a big surprise that at least 3 East Baton Rouge Parish Public Schools have decided to go back to remote learning for the next 2 weeks. Again, that due to the large number of cases that have been reported across our state. It is something that the debate continues to rage over the effectiveness of remote learning and, of course, the impact that it has on the mental well-being of our young people. It's something we're going to have to come to grips with in some form or fashion because we continue to fall behind as far as learning is concerned for our students when they are out of the structured, formal classroom setting. Now listen, y'all, I get it. I understand. Many people are of the opinion that we can't control certain things. There are things that are within our control. There are things that aren't. And until we can best isolate the most vulnerable individuals. We owe it to our society as a whole to continue to do the things that will benefit us long term. I saw an interesting statistic just the other day that showed, I want to say it was UNICEF, the United Nations International Children's Fund. I forget what the acronym UNICEF stands for, but they came out with figures showing for low to moderate income families, the children affected by remote learning will probably take anywhere from 7 to 10 years to fully recover. It is something we cannot afford in this country. Fact of the matter is, we have fallen so far down the list of educational attainment as far as differing countries around the planet are concerned. It's alarming. And you add to that the fact that, again, we are now looking at cities across America shutting down the classrooms, forcing kids to learn from a remote or distant location is something that we are going to be dealing with for some time to come. It is particularly disheartening for the African American community because, as I'm sure you are well aware, the largest group, statistically speaking, in America that has not, does not plan to, or will flat out tell you not going to take the shot are people of color in this country. They are also the same group that is the least educated among us in this country. So I never professed to be a mathematics genius or have any insightful look into numbers and how they work. But unless you're talking to someone who is completely woke, 2 plus 2 still equals 4. It is yet another on that long litany of things that plague the communities of color all across our country. And as you, I'm sure, have learned through your years of experience, the best way out of a poverty, crime-ridden situation is education. And I got to be honest with you guys and girls, unless we can come to grips with this real soon, we're looking at a major problem. Take into account, if you will, the fact that the African American community is most victimized by crime, African American community the most victimized by single parenthood. Not that there aren't any great single parents out there. You understand where I'm going with this. The African American community hurt the hardest by inflation, by the crime wave sweeping across the country. All of these things combined, you and I as adults, we develop pretty broad shoulders over the years. We take these things on, we deal with them, and whatever comes thereafter. But kids are a different story entirely. They are the least among us as far as being equipped to handle problem after problem after problem, not to mention the unprecedented things that occur in life, such as COVID-19. Southern University, speaking of education institutions, has decided that they are going to push back the start of the spring semester by 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, I remember floor producer extraordinaire, Marty, telling me this morning actually, that last night they canceled the Southern Prairie View, was it Marty, men's basketball game because of COVID protocols. It's a situation for these young people that hopefully will force them back into the reality that they are student athletes, not athletic students. At the end of the day, their job is to get an education. At the end of the day, our job is to provide them with one. And quite frankly, because of the novelty of the situation we've been dealing with in this pandemic, There's something to be said about unprecedented times and our reaction to them. I only hope that if, and I cannot stress this strongly enough, God forbid, we find ourselves in this situation again sometime in the future, we will be more rationally equipped to handle this. When you look at the numbers as far as COVID infections and the serious ramifications for children, I understand erring on the side of caution, but the damage that's been done, y'all, is going to take a while to undo. I know for many parents, you were absolutely ecstatic when your kids went back to in-person learning. But at the end of the day, these are our kids. We are responsible for them. We are the ones who have been delegated the responsibility of being sure they get the best education possible and take the most advantage of it. Now, you can easily make the argument, Clarence, we've been failing in that regard for quite some time. And I would find it hard to argue with you in that regard. However, doing bad is one thing. Doing even worse is something else, particularly when it's a self-inflicted wound. Let's hope that we will not repeat the mistakes of the past. You don't have to be an Einstein to figure out that there's a correlation here, a direct correlation between the rise in problems we've seen among young people in our communities and them not being in a structured school setting. I want to say it was Plaquemine just yesterday, a 14-year-old arrested after shooting a 17-year-old. Don't know if it was accidental as of yet or not. But the fact of the matter is we've got 13, 12, 14, 15-year-olds running around with guns, having access to weapons, and the death toll just continues to get higher and higher and higher. Today, by the way, in case you have been completely out of the loop for whatever reason, is the one-year remembrance of the, quote, insurrection at the Capitol. After we get our first break of today's show out of the way, I want to talk about that word, insurrection, and what you can expect to hear today, tomorrow, and probably as long as you choose to listen, what it really means and how, in this particular instance, it's being applied. I'm sitting down last night thinking about this, and you ever had one of those moments, some people call it an epiphany, some call it an earth-shaking revelation, where something just comes clear out of the blue and smacks you upside the head, and you're going, whoa, I never thought about it like that. One of those moments. That's next when we continue today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Back to today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. As you are probably well aware, today is the 1-year remembrance of the insurrection at our nation's capital. January 6th will be a day that decades from now people will still be analyzing, still be trying to make sense of, still trying to assign blame. When I think about the media's approach to this and what you are going to hear incessantly this day and God knows how many thereafter, I think back to an exercise that I used to engage in as a young person, trying to build a better, more extensive vocabulary. I would wake up every morning, grab my big, thick, young people, ask your parents what this is, dictionary, and I would close my eyes, open it up, and stick my finger on the page. If it was a word I was familiar with, then I would skip over to another page, close my eyes, and find a word. Eventually, obviously, I would find a word that I was not familiar with. So the task that day was to learn the definition of the word, the correct pronunciation, and then use it at least 8 to 10 times during the course of the day. The human experience is full of idiosyncrasies. For example, familiarity breeds contempt. That may be true when it comes to personalities, but when it comes to knowledge, we as individuals do things because of repetition. For example, the brands that you buy, the things that you consume, are the things that you buy and consume regularly, over and over and over again, because you're familiar with it. You know what it's about, you know how to enjoy it, so on and so forth. But on the other hand, when you're talking about the human experience, it's such that in this particular case, when the media continues to feed you something over and over and over and over relentlessly, after a while, if you're not careful, it becomes a part of you. We've heard insurrection, 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 insurrection. Am I the only person that finds it odd, ironic, telling that of the 725 people arrested at the, quote, insurrection, not a single one of them has been charged with treason, sedition, or promoting an insurrection. Now, I don't have the ability, we may not have a number high enough in mathematics to apply to the number of times we've heard that word over the last 12 months. Every person, regardless of race, creed, color, probably age to a little lesser degree, social standing, sexual orientation, whatever. Everybody's become familiar with the word. Now, maybe this is above my pay grade, but when I hear someone incessantly talk about homicide, 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 and no one's ever charged with homicide, I start to question the validity of not only the charges being levied, but the institution, mainstream media, that's putting that information out there. You know, as an American, as Americans with an S, we have lost faith in many institutions in this country. And this might sound a little strange coming from a conservative, but I would feel better about the scenario if out of the 725 people charged so far, at least one was charged with inciting an insurrection. If you're going to use the term over and over and over ad nauseum, shouldn't someone be held accountable? Shouldn't there be at least one example of, quote, an individual that was inciting an insurrection? Now, I will leave to you to decide how much of this is due to the fact that the left and the mainstream media think you're too stupid to think this deeply. Now, let me hasten to add, I don't think it's really deep thinking. I think it's more a case of stepping outside of the bubble and looking critically, analytically, if you will, at the subject at hand. 725 people arrested in connection with this, quote, insurrection. And not a single one has been charged with treason, sedition, or citing an insurrection. Now, some will probably tell you, well, Clarence, you got to understand in this country, there's a thing called the preponderance of guilt. If you can't prove without a shadow of a doubt that they were guilty of it, then you can't charge them. Well, I mean, a prosecutor, you can charge them, but a prosecutor doesn't want to go to court and try to prove it. And you may well be right. But in the meantime, wouldn't it be wiser to continue to look at things critically, analytically? You know, the examples of the mainstream media attempting to steer our thinking are too many, too numerous to count. But at the end of the day, this can only happen if we allow it to. Somewhere down the road, hopefully, your grandchildren, if not great-grandchildren, will ask, Papa or Momo, what was it like on January 6th? I know you watched it. You love this country. You've always been politically active. What was it like? And you'll tell them, whatever your experience was on that day. I would be interested in knowing what your response to your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, would be when you arrive at the point in the conversation and they say, wow, that was crazy, an insurrection. How many people did they charge with inciting this insurrection? I know they arrested 725 of them. How many did they charge? I would love to know the explanation, or better yet, see the look on your face when you tell them nada, zip, zilch, none. Just a little something to make you think. Now listen, y'all, don't get it twisted. I don't want anyone that is not worthy of being punished for their involvement in this, quote, insurrection. But if you're going to browbeat someone over and over and over and over again, at least let there be some validity or some shining example that you can point to. It's kind of like Joe Biden claiming he's got an economist that says you had the strongest first year of a president than any president in the last 50 years. Wouldn't name this economist. Couldn't find, apparently, more than one. But your credibility and your validity just vanishes. 725 people arrested in connection with this insurrection, and not a one of them has been charged with insurrection. Well, Clarence, maybe they couldn't find them. We have arguably the most extensive intelligence network on the planet in this country. And you're going to tell me they couldn't find them? When you can find out of 330 plus million people, a guy with a buffalo hat and a loincloth, you can pretty much find anybody. Just saying. Just saying, y'all. Bottom of the hour break. When we come back, I got a stock tip for you that is guaranteed to make you a lot of money. Well, if you get in on it early enough. Typical liberal approach to crime. That's next when we continue today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
You've waited, and now Toyotathon is here at Team Toyota. Every new Toyota is on sale with end-of-year savings. And with our Buy Here, Sell Here program, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade. The selection and savings are right here for you at Team Toyota, I-12 and O'Neill.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. You know, in the world of finance, particularly stocks, bonds, stock market, trading, etc., there is something that has come to our attention that God knows how long it's been going on, but it's unfair. A little thing called insider trading. You cannot have information that a certain product being publicly offered, traded, is about to do something that will result in a big jump, or any jump at all for that matter, in the stock price without getting one of those, "Hi, I'm with the Federal Trade Commission. We need to talk," without getting one of those, okay? But I think I can safely do you a big favor if you are looking to invest in something that will give you a greater return on investment than what you're getting right now. Y'all gonna think Clarence is pulling your leg, but you can't make this stuff up, y'all. You need to invest in whistles. You know, like the referees blow, the kind people that camp you always carry with you in case you get lost and folks are trying to rescue you. They can listen for the whistle, then they can find you. And of course, there's officials in track and field that, you know, you start the event with the whistle, so on and so forth. In the wake of this recent homicide surge across the country, an older woman in, wait for it, Chicago, is looking to bring back the Whistle Stop program. You've seen, I'm sure, movies from back in the day, London particularly, where what did they call the police back then? What did they call police? Oh man, I forget it. Complete brain fart. There was a name they had, and they weren't armed. They had a billy club and a whistle. And typically it's around Jack the Ripper kind of stories, where in the darkness you hear this piercing scream. Pardon? No, it wasn't coppers. It wasn't coppers. Jerry's, Lori's, something along that line. Bobbies. There you go, the English. This older woman wants to bring back the Whistle Stop program, saying if you find yourself in a suspicious situation or witness a crime, blow your whistle. If you hear a whistle, this alderwoman says, call the police. Oh, and it gets better. Then move toward the source of the whistle while blowing your own whistle. I told you, you can't make this liberal stuff up. She claims, does Alderwoman Michelle Smith, that blowing a whistle while running at the robber, quote, forces the offender to flee and helps police pinpoint the location of the crime. Who knew it was that easy? All the millions and millions and millions of dollars law enforcement has spent upgrading to semi-automatic handguns, to Glocks, to shotguns, to assault rifles, to sniper rifles. Who knew after all these billions of dollars spent, all they needed was a freaking whistle? Now, to show you how these people, liberals, think, and which is why I'm giving you this stock tip today. Invest in whistles, y'all. In 2 years, in the city of Chicago, 1,663 people murdered in 2 years. And of course, we know, and this is for those of you who don't, what the skin color of most of them happened to be. You know, I've got to wonder, is this woman just that freaking stupid? Or does she think we are? How insulting is this to people who've lost spouses, children, loved ones? And I've got to admit, if I take a word at it, the good people of Chicago, oh, they're going to run toward the crime while blowing their whistle. The old adage, sometime it's better to be thought a fool than it is to open your mouth and remove all doubt, is absolutely spot on. You know, it's one thing for her to think this, but to come out and say it as though this is some epiphany that's going to fix the crime problem. So with 1,663 people in Chicago being murdered in 2 years, let's say, for the sake of the conversation, each one of those individuals, victims of homicide, know, work with, were related to, or affiliated with 100 people. So, Marty, quick math. 100 times 1,600. Marty said, that's a big bleep number. That's how many whistles they're going to sell. And if it catches on, which we all know it will, just imagine in Oakland, LA, Portland, Seattle, Tucson, Albuquerque, Kansas City, St. Louis, Mobile, Birmingham, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Shreveport, Atlanta, Miami, Newark, just fill in the blank. All these cities having crime problems. If all of them watching this go, oh, that's a great idea. This will cut down crime. Can you imagine how many whistles they gonna sell? Wait, say again? We don't have enough. That's why I'm giving them the stock tip, Marty. They're gonna have to manufacture them. Okay? Invest in whistles, y'all. The return on investment will reap you untold benefits, and you will do your part as an American, by God, to help tamp down on crime. It might be funny if it weren't so freaking stupid. It might, on a good day, have a chance of qualifying as moronic if it weren't so freaking stupid. Upwards of 800 people in Chicago last year alone murdered. Show of hands. How many people in Chicago do you think are going to buy a whistle and run toward the crime when it happens? Everybody at home sitting like this. I ain't raising my hand. Ain't no way, Clarence. You 12 cities in America, all run by Democrats, experienced the highest number of homicides in the history of that city last year. And this doofus thinks the way to solve it is to buy a whistle. I can see Marty now getting ready to leave the house. Got my keys, check. Cell phone, check. Wallet, check. List of groceries, check. Doggone it, I got to turn around and go home. Left my doggone whistle. Only a liberal. Only a liberal. God help my country. Final break of today's show. You got to stick around for the final segment. Don't run out. Don't call your broker telling him you want to invest in whistles until the show is over. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. Final break, and we'll wrap up today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road, Gonzales.
Tremonti's has meat, Tremonti's has seafood, Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters, huge wine and liquor selection, beer and all the spices you need, Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats, ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs, 20 flavors of sausage for the grill, daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremontes.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome back for the final segment of today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. You have heard me say any number of times, don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. That typically is the best indicator of what an individual's true makeup actually happens to be. They can, sit there and tell you something over and over and over again every day of the week. But then you find out, wait a minute, you're doing the opposite. And then you wake up, the lights go off. And by the way, you forgot the whistle coming back. White people can't get good help anywhere these days. The whistle wasn't wet. Right. Well, the mainstream media is, I am tempted to use the word devious in their approach to disseminating pertinent information to you. When then Donald J. Trump was president and COVID was in its infancy and really ramping up and taking hold, and all Americans were starting to see the deadly effects of the disease, CNN, LOL, decided it'd be a good idea to keep you informed and make sure everybody knows what's going on, to run on the screen a COVID death count showing to all of America and the rest of the world every single day how many people had died on Donald Trump's watch. You remember it. And they weren't the only ones. It's the prime example I'll give you here. Every day, when you hit the remote, CNN, LOL, comes up on the screen, you'd see COVID death tracker. And the numbers, like in the cartoons when you see a guy in his car and he's driving so fast that the odometer is spinning. The miles are just adding up. That's how CNN was with their COVID tracker. Have you noticed something? The COVID tracker is no more. Have we eradicated this scourge on the health of the human species? Nope. Have we developed masks that are hands down effective in stopping the spread? Nope. Couldn't be because of that. Do you think maybe, just maybe, do you think CNN, LOL, no longer has the COVID death tracker, because now more people have died under Joe Biden's watch than under Donald J. Trump's. Marty said, ding, 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 got a winner. Go get your whistle, bro. Go get your whistle. All of a sudden now, CNN, moving on. Nothing to see here. Got other stuff to talk about. Now listen, y'all. My heart goes out to every single one of my fellow Americans who lost a loved one to COVID. My spirit has a wound for my fellow citizens of this country that, for whatever reason, coexisting morbidities, ignorance, whatever, found themselves in the grips of this pandemic and either themselves lost their lives or a loved ones. Unfortunately, however, we have in this country something called political expediency. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Doesn't matter, mind you, that the American people are smart enough, observant enough, and insightful enough to put 1 and 1 together and understand it equals 2. Maybe that's why the media has been trying so hard to erase simple facts from your mind. Well, 1 + 1 could be 3. Oh, really? How is that? Well, if you take 1 rooster and 1 hen, that's 2. Come back tomorrow, there's a biddy in the nest. 1 + 1 is 3. You remember that fool, a professor, by the way, in the granola state, California. Surprise, surprise. But we as Americans, y'all, we've got some shortcomings. I will be the first to admit that. But when all is said and done, the old adage comes to mind, we might be slow, but eventually we get there. CNN, LOL, apparently is of the opinion y'all are no longer concerned with how many people are dying from COVID. Aren't you supposed to be an information dissemination organization? It shouldn't matter, y'all. It should not matter what the letter designation happens to be behind the name of the person who's running the show. It shouldn't matter. If it matters to you, then you the problem. If it matters to you whether a Democrat or a Republican gets the credit, you are the problem. Because at the end of the day, sit down and have a conversation with any of your fellow Americans who lost a family member to COVID. Ask those individuals if they would feel any worse if Donald Trump was president when their loved one caught COVID and died, or if Joe Biden was president when their loved one contracted COVID and died. That's rhetorical. You don't have to answer. We all know the answer to that. They would give less than a you-know-what about the letter designation. All they know is their loved one is gone. CNN, LOL, MSLSD, ABC, NBC, NPR, CBS, all of them went out of their way to constantly bombard the American population with the number of deaths. But now, all of a sudden, apparently, that's not important anymore. While it might not be important to CNN, LOL, to MSLSD, to NPR, USA Today, CBS, ABC, and NBC, I bet you it's still darn important to our fellow Americans. There's a thing called a lie by omission and a lie by commission. Tell me a lie, that's a lie by commission. You committed a lie, purposely, knowingly. A lie by omission is when you omit from the statement the truth that's there in pursuit of an agenda. I've got to imagine, in the grand scheme of things, when the death toll is at 100,000, it will then be more urgent when you get to 200,000, which will then become more urgent when it's even higher and higher and higher and higher. And yet, the mainstream media apparently thinks it's not a big deal, no longer important. America doesn't really care how many of them have died from COVID. I guess they finally figured out, if you can't fool them with BS, there's always a lie. And yet, some of y'all, later today, you're going to grab that remote and punch up CNN, LOL. Hope it works out for you, but I doubt it. Just saying. Time's up, y'all, and I got to go. But this day, definitely go out and buy a whistle. No, just kidding. This day, more than any other, I give it to you. You're right, America, we ain't perfect. But for this old boy's money, it's the best there is. And God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you realize he loves you, right? And I hope you know that I do too. Either way, there ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. See you next week. God bless.